Back in Nazi Germany with the socialists, the downtrodden, those, underdogs and all that really took power by force. They did that not originally by force. What they started with was this whole us versus them. And I've never liked to play that role of divide and conquer, because I've saw it in history and it's horrible. I was very lucky as a very young kid to move in with my cousins, and my cousin's boyfriend was a skinhead, and he was into all of this divide and conquer stuff. And I think he was just hurt. He had a black stepfather, and he's mad anyway. He's an angry kid. But I was lucky to immerse myself for 2 years into his ideology, and I learned a lot about it. And so what they did, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis, the brown shirts and all that, they acted a lot like Antifa. They acted a lot like Black Bloc. They acted a lot like BLM and all these, where it was divide and conquer. Either you're with us or you're against us. It wasn't that you can have your beliefs and we'll have ours. It was, hey, if you're not with us, you're against us. And then they would demonize the other side. And they would talk about, oh, these people are, selfish. Look at how much money they have. They were talking about the Jews. It was always about the money. It was always about how they're taking from us. They're not, sharing the wealth and this and that. It was the exact same thing as a socialist in the United States today. Whether you want to call them socialist, whether you want to call them LGBTQ, whether you want to call them Democrats or progressive liberals, the leaders of these groups, maybe not all of the participants are aware, but the leaders of these groups are playing divide and conquer. If you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not fully into LGBTQI2++, whatever, then, you're against us. And so you can be pro-homosexual, you can be pro-lesbian, you can be bisexual, you could be, very supportive, you can be allies of the LGB people and even the others. But if you have anything negative to say about, well, I don't believe a man can be a woman, I don't believe a woman can be a man, if you don't believe 100% the transgender philosophy as well, then you're against the LGBTQI++, whatever they are. I think there's like 26 acronyms now involved in that whole thing. So that's my problem with it, is I have always been ally of the gays and lesbians and gay rights and gay marriage and gay dignity and all of that stuff. Always. I mean, let's see, I left my cousin's situation, she was dating a skinhead, when I was, 16, 17, and I had a bunch of tattoos. Like, I had a tattoo on the side of my head, and I had tattoos all over. None of them were Nazi tattoos. Now, anybody who says differently can show me a picture. It just doesn't exist. There isn't one. I never had a Nazi tattoo on me, but I was starting to look like a skinhead with like the tattoo on the side of my head and all this. And I came up with an ideology. I came up with a movement called SPEAR, which I tattooed here. It says skins and punks everywhere against racism. I got that tattoo when I was 17. I got another one just like it on my foot when I was 16. And so I left that ideology, and I only really stood against it because I started to understand it. And it was this whole divide and conquer thing, just like the Nazis, just like the socialists did in the 30s and 40s, the socialists are doing now. And so I was an ally all this time, but now because I don't say, yeah, oh, sure, a man can be a woman, or sure, you can change your gender. Just because I don't believe that, now I'm the enemy. My kids feel this way about me now. Their mother has used this tactic, this whole divide and conquer thing. I was just watching my kids' therapy session from 2021 after my ex-wife and I divorced. And, she didn't want me even to be anywhere close to her, like 3,000 miles within where she was, because I wanted to be close and share custody. And so my kids weren't divided for 6 months at a time from their other parent. And the whole session, they were like, well, Mom keeps saying horrible things about Dad. Mom keeps wanting us to pick sides. Mom wants us to choose her over Dad. Mom says horrible things that aren't true about Dad, that they were aware of that weren't true. And after 4 years of conditioning, she got her wish. She said that she would turn him against me, and she did. And I know it's easy for that to happen in society, and that's why I'm taking a hard stand like Elon Musk is, against the, what do they call, he call it the woke mind virus, where that divide and conquer, agenda gets so deeply rooted. And so then it's, us against them. And then who's laughing? It's the people at the top looking down saying, oh, look, they're fighting each other. They're not worried about us, And so these elites that are in power, like the Biden family, with all of their foreign money coming into all these, shell companies that they created, and, all this money from Ukraine and China and Qatar and all these places that they were getting money from, but they had no, product to sell. It was all service. It was all influence they were selling, and we are not even talking about that anymore. I mean, there's so much corruption going on in our world, and we're missing it because we're fighting with each other. I see that with my kids, between my ex-wife and I now. I see that, just in so many aspects of my life, but there's no more obvious cultural representation of that than the woke versus the non-woke, however you want to call that. So I agree with Elon Musk in fighting this woke mind virus. It is tragic to see what's happening in this world. It's tragic to see what's happening with my kids. If they watched that video from 2021, they would see what's happening now. Like, they may not remember what they said or what was going on when my ex-wife and I were going through a divorce, but I filed for the first time for divorce in 2014. She told me she was going to turn him against me if I did. So I didn't. I waited again. It got so bad, I filed again in 2018. I didn't go through with it because she again said, well, I'll either kill myself or I'll turn the kids against you if you leave me. So I was like, I don't want either of those. So I stayed. 2 years went by and it just was intolerable, and I had to finally divorce her. And this is the result. What she said she would do, she did. Now my kids are turned against me, and it's tragic. She's violating a court order and not even allowing me to be with my kids right now. It's rough.